I'm lit up in the dark here.
No, I can see you fine.
I mean, the black on each side.
It's black on each side. There should be.
Because I got the phone up right.
There should be something.
We're good.
Okay.
We're good,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. We can see you fine. You're good.
All right. Sorry about the smoke.
Dude, I'm a smoker as well. You don't have to worry about that. I don't know what's going on today. That it seems like a lot of people got, me included, got kind of a, I don't know, Facebook went through some kind of something, and evidently YouTube. I saw a post, somebody said that it was worldwide, but I just talked to Morgan. It didn't happen to her, but a lot of people, maybe Northern Hemisphere, I don't know. A lot of people got, I don't know. There was a hiccup. There's a hiccup. This energy's huge. Kelly Bird's in the house. Warrioress. She's amazing. That woman is amazing. So yeah. Oh, okay. This time they're rolling in a lot faster. It took like 5 minutes than the last show. All right, we're getting back in the groove here. What's happening, Bruce, man?
If this don't kill us.
If this don't kill us. I had to go try to find a picture so I could put a promo up, and I don't have any pictures of you. I'm searching SOULSPEAKS 5D, Bruce, on YouTube and Facebook, just so I could do a screenshot. And you've never come on, officially for a show. You always pop in on the open mics, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, how can I describe? I got to put something up. So I love the picture. I'm not big into like tarots or anything, but I love the picture of the Fool. The Fool to me is like the most powerful card, right? Because you know what I mean, right? That's what that's what you bring to the table. I don't mean like as a court jester or a joker. I mean like it to me. The wise man knows he's a fool. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? It's like you got to be a fool before you're. I don't know. Like the more I know I don't know. Something like that. But it's good to see you, man. It really is.
Yeah.
It's been
I was watching a show and it was The Village Idiot. Yeah, the Village.
Yeah.
Right, I know nothing.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's been years in the coming. This is like the final. I'm getting a repeat of. Okay, take that off. Okay, we're still here. Yeah, from years ago, seemingly being caught up in all the mental activity. Whenever a thought or feeling arises, just go right down the rabbit hole and feed into it. You know what I mean? And through the last 5 years or so with Solargy, all those that participate. Hi everyone. So yeah, what a challenge. The guilt and the shame, all that, but up to the present, where like almost like in recovery, addiction to mental activity. And then just the seeing of thoughts. And as time went by, there was like a rehabilitating, go down the rabbit hole, but all of a sudden you see it and then it's not there, apparently. And so, a lot of use of distract, when my mind is occupied, like say here and now, being present, especially with others. Yeah. And so it was quite overwhelming, but now to the point where, when the thought occasionally pops up, it's, the memories and all, but, it's like, no, I'm not going down that road. Just the seeing of it. And that's as simple as I can get. You know what I mean? Like just being here now with you. Yeah. Those thoughts and feelings don't arise.
I wonder if it's I didn't really think of to say it this way until you just said what you said. I guess because of our connection. But I wonder if what that is now that we're kind of like at a higher level of comprehension, maybe our experience, our maturity, that it's a space. It's like a space. That's I woke up on the 9th of November, and I heard y'all are on the other side now. All that stuff's over there. Like I almost look at it like, because it doesn't matter what the topic is, the narrative or the situation. That stuff coming in is a space represented by what we left there, and this other space like this is another space. You know, some people might say that's 3D, this is 4D, or whatever the case is, but I wonder if it's a space more than it is. It's become a space that we're familiar with that had all these different faces, all these different stories. I wonder if that's what it is.
I look at it more as a perspective on this, the exchange, rather than getting caught up in the exchange itself. It's just the exchanging to me.
Right. True.
There's no objectifying, this, that, or what, or who, and how. In the present, there's nothing but being present, it seems.
Yeah.
Apart or aside from thoughts and feelings that, hey, we use all these terminology, acceptance and all, surrender on a personal level. But, seeing it as a show, of hand, a play of sorts, light, energy, whatever, just in play. And to have that relationship, there's being the actor, there's, being the crew, the audience, and there's the director. My experience as assistant would, I don't know, boy, but anyway, yeah, a matter of perspective, which doesn't take up any space or time,
Yeah.
outside that realm of
There's-
activity,
Yeah, there's like a lightness, like that stuff is weighted, and it's almost like if you just look at like the basics of meditation, like no thought, reaching a point where everything's just just that void space or whatever that is, that space, and now you're sharing it with somebody else. Where two or more gather, that's a powerful thing in a new expanded way. And then I think the other thing that you're bringing up for me anyway is this, I don't know what you said, sharing, but this exchange. Like I'm a big believer more each day that the most powerful codes we can come across are the ones that we're exchanging right now through the transparency of all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, there's something about, participating in the live chat through these years, which, texting allowed for things that I don't know that they can be spoken that way. Like, say, a director can project that out. Yeah, strange stuff. But yeah, I understand, feeling on the brink, yet even addressing that feeling, who's addressing that feeling, or who's inquiring about what, and instead of what are we inquiring about, there's no who or what about it. In the present, like in conversation, I feel, either I'm expressing or I'm listening. There's an exchange, perhaps of ideas, it gets philosophical, spellbound. Go ahead.
I like people that make me think. You always make me think, because there's always some etymological root to what the way you write. And who said there's a chick on YouTube that does it too with you sometimes.
Oh yeah, Flicks,
yeah. I guess another way to say that is I like people that that are yeah, people that make me think. And even if they make me feel a bit stupid, sometimes when you feel you're stupid, you realize again that thing of the fool to the wise to the sage, right? If I'm not a fool, how can I ever be a sage, kind of thing. But that what I was going to say is like an example. An example would be what you just made me think of, and why I came to that was this talk about what's going to happen, even in these conversations, like what's going to happen. This is about to happen. This is what's happening. That's even being, I guess you would say, at least weighed, scrutinized as to whether it's taking away from this present moment. Like what's the point? Are we lost? Is that not just another version of heaven's over there? Even if it's something like tomorrow, the solar flash is coming, so we'll just wait on that kind of thing. So yeah, being present.
Well, I would ask.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would ask, who's the one seeing? The person is seeing these things. As our mental constitution. Our indoctrination, whatever, culture, nationality, etc. We wouldn't be who we are in that sense, in a personal sense. So it's like, who's having these feelings? Who's asking these questions? And it, seeing that it's the person perhaps in me, but just the seeing it, it's like a step back. It's not a separation. It's just a change in perspective, perhaps. I mean, you hit it on, maturation, but then parenting,
Do you find, I know this is going to sound yogi-ish and all that, but I don't mean it that way. I just mean, obviously things have changed and very rapidly again and again. Are you finding yourself, what you're saying, another way to say it, are you finding yourself in the observer mode, even with yourself more?
No, there's no observer. There's just observing, even to get behind the observer. The observer comes after the observing. We observe an object and then imply there's a subject seeing it.
That's
it comes after the seeing.
So that's deep. So what you're saying is that in a quantum thought reality, it's the observing that drives it, and even the observer is observed, and the observer apparently is me, in my case. Yet, and then the other thing I look at is the observing affects the the hologram or the experience or what we're seeing or whatever the case is. So that has to go through the observing occurring to what we're calling the observer.
Well, as soon as go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's like supersedes self-awareness and self-image and self-love, a quotient, wherever that might lie. It's all like that observing is back here. And yeah, who is that? There is no who there.
Right? There is no who. Right, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, it's years and years of just seeing through that veil of, some might call it, ignorance, not in a negative sense, but it's all part of the whole. Nothing can be separated from the whole. I don't care, male, female, good, bad, right, wrong. It's the whole of all things. Whatever they may be or not be. The whole of all, and that too, some might say implies parts. The whole. But all in one in all. It's a strange, isolation. I think isolation was part of this deal. I obviously didn't want it this way. But seeing where we are, it's well worth it. But not that there is any worth to anything, And I was getting back to the observing. First, we observe. Well, there's an observing happening or occurring, and a chair is observed. And then the seeing of the chair implies there's a seer. And then who's the seer? Well, self-inquiry. Then when you get to there is no seer, but there, the self, the person, the seer, and then, they call it the Atman, and where, as a seeming individual, you recognize you're part of the same whole. Then, the larger self and higher, whatever words they use, God, Jesus, manifestations of light. I think, the love of the sun just is unconditional, and it shines on everyone equally. It shines for everyone. If, just get me out of the way. It's a crying and laughing at the same time, but, it's a play. It's a staged, I'm just sharing my perspective as a person, as a spirit. Whatever form it seems to manifest, and then there's, that comes out of the potential, which is obviously infinite, and eternal. So that's beyond space and time. That void you were talking about, it's like a quiet mind. I've heard many, I've heard be quiet in satsang for so long. It's like, what are you telling me to shut up? But no, it just means the seeing. There's just the seeing of the, say of a thought or a feeling, and then realizing there's no seer to see it. It is a sense of a quiet mind rather than being engaged in all that mental activity all the time. Yeah. I mean, I've been there my whole life. I think I had, the capital S, self. But yeah, it's been a journey of duality all along the way, opposites, and turn them all into, positives. But now that we're out of that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm loving this. But you're making me think, like, if that inner dialogue that you're referring to is fading as within without, and maybe that's where we're landing, like what you said as soon as you came in the door here. Like Joseph Campbell says, this is it right here. Yeah. If you don't get it here, you won't get it anywhere.
Joseph, he had quite the worldly exposure.
Yeah.
To spirituality. Watching everyone through all these, 50 years now at this on the clock, feeling set apart. Yeah. I don't know what kept me going as a person. Without Soulology, none of this would have happened. From the beginning, I think we have looked at Soulology in fun as a child, let alone we were the child learning from Soulology, those that surround us with their, welfare. But I don't need to make anything out of anything yet. Following politics and global situations, it always goes back to, the spirit of things. Everything comes and goes in the sense of what we perceive. And that's only as a human, and literally, etymologically, HU, spirit, MAN, man, spirit man. So I have nothing to say about anyone, because it's all a manifestation of the same whole that I am. And when I see that, the seeing of that allows this exchange, for an open exchange with you, and every other that's with us here. I don't have a chat with me. I'm on my phone. I use. Thanks for letting me get this out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What?
As a person, I felt like I've put this upon you.
No.
Yet
No.
knowing in my heart that that wasn't the fact of the matter.
No, it's just, no, it's not
We had
been
to
that
go
at all.
together.
It's a time.
Yeah,
it's a synchronicity. It's physical synchronicity. The truth. I mean, since that Solitude Fest, since about the Wednesday after it, so that would have been like the 12th or 13th. Which is crazy. And again, what did you say a minute ago? The laughing and the crying at the same time. Frankly, I would say I feel whole, or I would say, let me say this, more whole than ever, just in the last 2-3 days. And in between mid-December and the end of last month, fucked. It's functioning, interacting with my partner, my mother, very few people, that solitude, your isolation you're talking about, but inside just being ripped to shreds, but not in a new way. Like I almost like experiencing pain in a new way. And in a weird, because you have these moments. I can think of like 7 to 10 days ago saying, man, you know what? Here we go again. I'm tired. I don't understand. I'm confused. Let's just consider moving on to the next vessel and the next experience, and then going, why am I saying this? And then going, wow, this just happened with Morgan, or this just happened when I walked out to the bayou. I saw a little white gnome the other day for the first time. I saw this little elemental. I got these rabbits talking to me. And then there's another part of me just dying, like dying, just like a banana being peeled, just like what's under there, this soft, fleshy, vulnerable, thing, right? Just the shell's been stripped off, the skin's been stripped off. Yeah. And I don't think it's just you and me. I'm seeing people like Martin, talking to Martin, just hearing, somebody say, hey, I went into these men's circles, and they weren't even like light worker circles. And just the knowing that the guidance to go into a situation, for any of us to be guided to go do something or step away from something. I don't know. It's like, one hand, it's really, it seems like becoming ultra complicated. And on the other hand, it's that laughing and crying. It's becoming this infinite simplicity, this beautiful infinite simplicity. It's weird. It's a strange thing.
Yeah, I see it as seeing it as a person, seeing it all as a person from the personal point of view. And in regard, that's the relationship implies, separation in a sense mentally. It's all, it's okay. It's fine. It is what it is. To each their own. I don't feel I think you and I and Morgan know each other so well from the beginning that there's an in touch or communication telepathically, and I decided not to go there for a while. But like having that thought and then getting the phone is ringing, and it's the person you just had the thought of. You know, our exchange, our video is in the air, but if I swipe down, there will be no seeing. It's there, but you know, there's no separation. Well, I'm not stating this as a fact for any one person. You know, again, this is just a perspective that's been offered to me by everyone I've come across the way. I mean, guru, you know, it's the guru within, the pointing to the guru within each and one of us. But they've all been with me and behind me all the way. Every one of them. Just like, you know, everyone in Soulology in the beginning working me through all that shame and blame game. I mean, that was horrendous, but man, you can't put numbers. I think it just involves the whole universe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at, dang, I can't believe, Sharmony, Diamond Heart 888. I see says, be free, free now. Like,
we were never not free.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're chasing. That's what I'm saying. We're chasing.
Yeah.
Even if we have this whatever you call it, this mission, you know, this purpose. Even that, right? Like it's like
temporary.
It's like, yeah. And I
it's a stage act.
Yeah, and I always go back to the that same Joseph Campbell thing, you know, like you know, it's almost like I'm speaking to myself, you know, like in that moment, you know, I'm standing outside. I just went outside a minute ago between the shows, and the bayou runs back here. And I'm out there on my phone, which I'm not one of those that spends a lot of time doing that, but I'm sitting there, and then I heard these tall trees, the bayou, and all of a sudden I hear this bird. I hear this bird going off at the top of the tree. And at first I don't hear it because I'm distracted, and then I hear it, and it's almost like, hey, pull your head out of your ass and look right here. Right. Look at what you are. Look at what you have. Look at, you know what I mean? It was oneness, and then you just it comes in, and
all the time. The first thing I do, I open the door, is I see there's a seeing of birds, and then they all flock to get, you know, they love the interaction, the trees swaying. And then there's that classic story of the birds. You know, you got the bird on the bottom branch, you know, building a nest, taking care of the, you know, in the worldly game. And then there's the bird a little higher, that other perspective of ourself, you know, the observer, observing. And then, of course, there's always a third bird who's, you know, watching the watcher, you know, and then there's there's watching, seeing the watcher as the watched. You know, this is all just the spirit moving through me. After shows, in between shows, there's further decoding for myself. Let me tell you, as you're well aware.
Yeah,
it can go on, and it blows the mind.
Yeah,
it blows the fucking mind. I mean, I'm aware of as much as I can be, I guess, as the spirit flows through the hose, you know. I'm the hose.
Yeah.
And so, but it's all I don't want to, it's all good. As if it could be bad. Yeah, there's nothing to search for. We are freedom, you know.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be free from, but it's the only way for the spirit, I think, to consciously get to know it, become aware of itself. Is to get to know what it's not, you know, and not that it's not that either, but you know what I mean.
Exactly.
It's not something.
Well, when
You
we
can't
were
touch
all
yourself.
when when we were all one sun or one cell or one soul or whatever you want to call it, it's really this is all an extrapolation of that question we all asked, who am I? What am I doing here? Right? It's just, and it's just
Who's asking?
right.
Yeah.
And then you
Who's
got,
asking? Who am I?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. And it becomes like an echo. It's like maybe that one thing is like metaphorically like a crystal, and these are all the different faces and facets. So not only we have this coming from here, but we have it looking over there too. I remember because I never really had in-depth conversations until I met Morgan. Like I had him in my head. I had it going on with me and whatever I'm connecting to, but to start having a conversation with another person, we used to say that. She'd tell me, I always wanted to have a conversation with, a man and have these conversations. And I would always say, kind of like this, it'd be like this. And then I'd say, well, but you're there and I'm here. That, how do there's always this mystery. There's always this mystery. I had this conversation. I was talking about it with Martin in the last week, and I'm like telling the universe, hey, if this is some big psyops, I'm not going to change. Like I know there's something inherent, there's something innate. I just know, and maybe that's, maybe that's waking up and you're just in that void, in that black space, and then the new season, takes off. The new episodes, the new season of the new life or the new whatever. But again, taken look, even if that's all correct, whatever. The bottom line is this is all we have right here. This is all we have. And what you said about the shame, the blame, the externalization that was painful that you went through, that we all have been going through and went through. As weird as it is, that's what we came to do. We don't have to stay there, but I mean, that's what we came to do. We came to get some contrast, to get some, to get some stuff to work with, some material, to expand or well, like you said, to get to know ourselves. But still, like I said, like you're saying, even that gets to the point where it's taking you out of this present moment. And that isolation you talk about is weird too. I saw a post yesterday and it said, because you see those ones and they go, those who can be alone are the master. You know what I mean? Like if you can be alone, then, all that stuff, right? This one said, cut the BS, being alone sucks. Something like that. And so here we go again with broadening the spectrum. Like, nothing's absolute. Like nothing. Prove it. Prove it that we're going to continue on after that, even though we may have our own personal thoughts and knowing or whatever, but prove it. Well, you can't prove it. And if we spend a bunch of time trying to prove it, then you're just taking yourself out of the very reason that you're here. And that is just to relish in and be present with that, with this is all we got, going back to that same quote.
Yeah. There's just there's the seeing. There's not even the seeing of it. There is no it to be seen. It's crazy. It's like an interplay. When you said, I'm here and Morgan is there. And yeah, I empathize with you. From her point of view, she's here and you're there as persons apart, separate from one another perspective. But from both points of view, you're both here. There's nowhere to go from here. There is no there,
Right.
and not that there's really even a here, here and now, space and time. Yeah. That's like you say, just an another view along the way, her view, view of from the personage of, of the spirit. But, not communicating with others, as, obviously has its benefits, as well as you said. And yeah, you mentioned something back too about the feeling of pain, feeling the pain as well. Yeah, I'm seeing it as a reflex, like just, beware. um, anyway, so yeah, what you and more, I didn't have to go through that withdrawal, and the recovery from it, as you both have. And I think we're all have, felt alone, and get a feeling of whatever, when we're together, when we're, two or more gathered. So that's the grace that you're all giving unto me, the sense of me. But, of thee I sing, Thank you, everyone, for sharing, the presence with me, the pre-sensing of things. We are all there is.
God, you
Already.
you okay. So you helped me connect the dots, right? That's what, that's what Morgan's been saying the last couple of weeks. The realization that as she runs these groups, that everybody has a piece. There is the inner guru. Everyone's got one, and everyone offers up what they have. And then listening to you and going back to what you said and what I felt and what we all felt from the way you expressed, what you were talking about with reflecting on that period, that shame, the blame, working through all that stuff. I think part of what you're helping me to realize is the difference is the stories have their place, but the gist of the story is, hey, I've gone through it. I can admit it. And I'm still going through some stuff, or whatever the case is. And instead of, and in lieu of, I'm good, 100%. I got that licked, again, differentiating myself. I'm still, I don't want to say struggling, but I'm still, putting everything into its proper place, I guess is what I'm saying. And what I keep finding is it all comes back to the same place. So if I look at something like Morgan and I, if you look at the surface, and it's more singular and it's not multidimensional. Oh my God, these poor people, they love each other, and how do they get back together in this world that has all these restrictions and passports and Todd's history with the law and being locked in, all these different things, right? That seem like obstacles. But what ends up coming back is what you said about this space and time thing, which is, I guess a way to say it would be to be able to find this place, which I feel closer and closer and closer and closer to, which is whether she's sitting right here next to me or on the Zoom or in bed while I'm awake, to have the same foundation, the same unity, and you can't make that shit up. You can't make this up, right? When you talk about the telepathy that we've had, it's inarguable. It's inarguable. It's
Yeah. Yet that's what I think, presume you will agree. It's all this that has allowed us to be, where we are now, so to speak. the maturation, having a relationship, feeling as a separate individual from each other. It might not be of lasting, import. Yeah, it's all insane. It's years ago, back when I was in my 20s, it'd be like if I'm watching Stargate series, it's like they're talking, like I'm hearing them talking to me as if they're talking to me. People can label it whatever they want psychologically, but just a sensing of spirit, it seems, of myself, of who I am. We're all the same light reflecting off of you or reflecting off of Morgan, and whatever I see as Morgan being a person outside myself is actually, in my perception of that being. So to me, it's a sense of well-being as a person, pulling from the well of grace, so to speak. I'm not the water in the well. But I don't know, just cranking it up.
Yeah, exactly. The well, almost like the well itself is the infrastructure of the well is the vessel. That's Todd.
Never run from.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the water. Yeah. No, this well thing, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Drawing from the well.
Yeah.
So wellness or well-being. So we're all drawing from we are the same water in the well as well,
Yeah, that's the point.
But I think for me, being alone, and sensing you all as, me, I'm here and you're there, or you and Morgan, knowing now, like, we're all here. But it's not like, in the same way that we think about it at times, physical touch, embracing and all that, physical exchange. And to me, there again is a manifestation of spirit, all from my point of viewing things as they are. And it's not that they are anything, but it's, but it's all good. Everyone sees things from wherever point of view they're at. But to me, that's the holographic nature of the universe. There's a oneness, and you can holographically perceive it from any point of view, which it's manifesting or expressing as you or I, or we or they. It's all one in that sense of spirit. But that too is perhaps, in the game of consciousness, which, by nature, all words are defined by other words. So yeah, there's no need to get caught up, in a sense. There's a catching on to things. And some speak of it as detachment, letting go of all that. But there's no one to let. It's all part of that same whole, as you were saying, which is has brought us all to here and now, which we never left to begin with, But in this game of consciousness, as a being, human being, a spirit being, man, now the unconscious, to me, this is a dreaming. It's awake dreaming of, what the dream state might feel like. Only this, we open our eyes and we see light just, and vibrations of sound, and our mind creates this illusion of, density but to see the spirit behind it all, the seeing, which is just, spirit seeing spirit, seeing itself, a reflection of its own being. And that's in the phenomenal realm that we're in, you know?
It's beyond
So
coincidence.
it's beyond language.
Hmm.
It's all that, is, could be, will be, et cetera, but there's no moment can be held on to, because then presence, there's no sense of presence.
Right.
Thought, well, what's going, is it happening now? No. Get with it. But again, it also, to me, has brought me again to where we are, and we've exchanged that idea many times together, you and I, on the program.
Yeah.
It's
It
I
it
think
be Good.
it comes by nature, all this, all that we've gone through, and the thoughts and feelings that still may appear at times. Like you say, we'll still have, but it's okay, it's all part of the whole deal. Play the hand, play the show of hand, all cards up. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Face up.
That's exactly right.
Play
Yeah,
the cards you dealt.
yeah, and I think part of that, if you don't get it here, you won't get it. Joseph Campbell thing is, really saying, presence is all there is. That's all you got. You could be worm dirt, you don't know. You could be, and even if you're not, you could be pulled out of this tomorrow, to now, whenever. It's like all this physicality, in essence, it's weird. It's always a paradox, all this physicality external is potentially, or maybe always in totality, a distraction. It's because it's not that we're in the mind, but that it's all here. It's all right here. It's all in the yeah.
I think it's
And
the universe mirroring itself,
yeah,
like the reflection of light. You see the sun when you look at the moon. Well, you could see the sun or just see the moon. And when you look at the finger pointing, like we say, a dog won't see what you're pointing at. They'll look at the finger.
and that's it.
Hey,
That's
look
another
over.
that's another thing too. Observing, because I've been having some animal experiences that have been, more bringing me more awareness than in the past. And then I just start thinking about animals, period, right? And the symbiosis of it. Uh, it like they have a language, like they understand each other. You know what I mean? It's like you know what I mean? I can't really put it into words, but here's another version of it, was right there in front of your face the whole time, human beings. It's all right there. It all works like a symphony, and it has this free flow to it, this natural progression, and somehow or another, by our design, we were stifled. Which, going back to what you're saying, you can't hold on to anything. And look what we created. We created possession, which really possesses you. You don't possess anything. You get possessed by what you think. You know what I mean? Uh, but man, it looks to me, and I think probably to you, even if it's not really fully explicable, the walls are coming down. Whatever it is, it's coming. Whether we,
I think that,
yeah.
I think another way of looking at it, they can show now that plant leaves that have a language, they communicate, and people question the consciousness of, say, rock. Quite simply, I can do it, and even while in conversation, it happens. Not that I'm doing it. Just imagining being inside the rock and watching me walk by, or watching me, above it, having a conversation, and watching everything, seeing everything as it is, because they're not moving. there's a part of us that never moves from here. Our consciousness. Well, deep sleep, unconscious, but our being, sense of being, is unchanged by anything. The sky will remain the sky no matter what clouds pass by or storms.
Or what chemtrails, or what it does. That's the thing too, right? You can have the artificial next to what you think is artificial next to what you think is natural.
Yeah, when I say kinetic,
one and the same, right?
Yeah, potential and kinetic. It's all energy.
Yeah,
whether potential or kinetic.
And speaking to somebody who for years, even from like 2011, even before that, really, but not knowing what I'm doing, right? Like or jumping into it with both feet. This thing with rocks, because it was not really crystals. I was picking up rocks, but that's when you said that about jumping inside of a rock and looking at. We have a day in the life, and it's 24 hours per se. There is no difference. There's no difference. That rock could be a mountain. It could be a boulder on the mountain. It could be a rock, a pebble, or whatever. But you're right. When I've had these early on, when I've had these, I guess you would call mergings or whatever you want to call it, looking through the eyes of this rock, the amount of awareness that can come through it because of the, you might say, the long observation, right? I remember having a conversation with a tree one time, and it was on a property where I was staying, and it starts telling me all the things that it had viewed. Some of them were not very nice either, but I saw the magnitude. Like, can you imagine being a tree and the things that you would observe in a day, in one of our days, like everything from the wind to the sky, to the insects, to the birds, and then what relations do they have? I still, everything seems. I still say everything could be upside down. What if the first dimension, and let's say the mineral, right? What if that is the grandest wisdom there is, and we're not moving away, we're moving towards. Like I say, it's the rocks. You know what I mean?
If I might interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Our sense of life as a human is on the crust of molten rock. Mm-hmm. And we only perceive, the crust. We think that's life. Mm-hmm. The molten lava rock, which elementally we are, is the same as any other plasmic form of energy. The sun, that it may manifest as fire, but the plasmic being of planet Earth, is molten like, any other form of sourcing energy. So there's not a sense of separation in that regard for me. As an individual, I'm not apart from the sun, right. The light of the sun. We're all formats of the same sunlight. Fills the whole of the universe. How can sunlight, 10 billion years away, reach us? Every point in everyone's eye. How can it do that? As particles, they have to disperse. So, through time, right, in space, bam. But, as a wave, it can, perhaps our perception of it weaken or lessen. But still, when it reaches our point of observation, it becomes a particle of light, in a sense, to our eyeballs. The cones and bars that send an electric signal. That's all that we're seeing. Then the mental activity creates this. Well, the sense of creativity. Thought patterning of creativity, and make of it whatever you will. As an individual, there's nothing apart from the whole. Again, this is only, to say my sense of perspective.
Yeah.
Is to each one their own.
Yeah.
The spirit, it's all one spirit, seeing us all as one spirit, one same spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell myself sometimes, same thing, I just said different. because I'll get to this point of a dialogue, or you know, uh, and I'll go, whatever it is I'm weighing, and I'll say, what difference does it make? And then snap, go back, and you go about your business. But like, because I'll have to stop myself. What difference does it make? Like, you know what that means, right? Like, what difference does that make right now, right this moment? Like, I'm
But
missing this moment.
who's doing the weighing? Who's doing the weighing?
Yeah.
It's an artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that eliminates,
Yeah.
you know, the object,
Yeah.
that sense of separation, subject object.
Touche. It's a constant motion. Love is a constant motion. You know, light is a constant motion. Life is a constant motion. I am a constant motion. You are a constant motion. And when it is impeded, when it's impeded, is that an impediment, or is it a catalyst for further motion or direction? You know, so it's like,
to whom?
Right.
To whom?
Right.
Would it be?
Right. Let
alone would it?
I like to go down to this bridge. I call it the Holy Bridge, and I'll take a tree branch, or something that will float, and I like to throw it into one side, which I call the river of knowledge, which is where we've been. Then I go run to the other side of the bridge and watch it come into the river of life, which is where we're going. And to your point, right? I'm that.
Yeah.
But I don't know I'm that. I'm just going down the river. You know what I mean?
But you don't know now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. So I try to draw it as a metaphor. I'm like, okay, that's me. But I don't know I'm me. I'm looking at me.
There's no knowing.
How can that be me if I'm looking at me? So I'm looking, like you said about the rock, looking from outside the rock, inside the rock out. And even then, that's the marvel. You remember when you were a kid, like a baby, a young child, and you will walk outside in the backyard and everything is just a fucking magic. Like you can see every particle. You can see everything is fully experienced and absorbed. And yeah. And then one day we walk. Yeah.
To me, it would be looking down on a calm pond, and you see the upside down reflection of everything that can be seen from that point, not just what you were paying attention to. Anyway,
that's a good
so our
one.
bending over, on our bending over and seeing ourself as, when are we seeing ourself, or are we seeing a reflection of light, which we are?
Yeah.
The light perhaps bounces off me, bounces off the pond, and all of a sudden they come together and form an image in my mind of me. But is it me? Is it me I'm seeing? or is there an I? Anyway.
Yeah, it
can be fun. It can be fun.
Yeah. You ever see that YouTube video? There's a bear. They put up a mirror in the woods, and the bear comes to the mirror.
Yeah.
You ever see that? But what you said too, to speak to the experience and the evolution of it, right? So there's, I don't know what, I don't know if it was Göbekli Tepe or Egypt, I don't know, or indigenous or whatever. So they had this, they were trying to figure out how in the hell they could map the stars and know how to navigate based on seeing the stars, and they knew that this place, that they were able to do it from this place, but they couldn't figure out why. And then one day, so I guess some archaeologists or whatever walked in and said, well, shit, in the middle of this place is this pond, and they were looking into the pond to see, right? You see what I mean? So, yeah.
And then, you can see reflections, or you can see through the surface to the, say what's on the bottom of the water, or through the water, or whatever.
Yeah.
But just, that's like the step back from self. But the act of perception, yeah, it's but what else would the universe have to do, but play? Then the knowing of self, and pretending to forget in order to remember.
Brilliant. What a brilliant.
Pardon?
No, I think I'm
Yeah.
saying, I think it's, I say, when I connect, and a lot of times, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I'll be like, I need to know more. Like I've been shut down on my lucid dreams for the last, which is not normal for me, for like the last couple of months until last night. And I'm going, well, what's going on here? Why can't I see my dreams? And then it comes in like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Who do you think arranged this? Right? You're talking to yourself, right? You know what I mean? That part of you that you've yet to obtain the ability to be sustain, let's say, a consistent presence with, so you don't even have to go there. In other words, it's not even, like I said. What's the difference, right? What's the difference?
Well, when I didn't sleep for that year, a few years back, so there was no dreaming in the sense, I think that, in sleep, but there was definitely a lot of daydreaming, to where I was going with that, and then, for most of my life, being a 24/7 pot smoker has inhibited the recollection of dreaming. Well, it has inhibited the awareness of dreaming, or recollection. But that has all given me a perspective. But all that has pretty much fallen away. A lot of things I don't, by grace alone. Not feeling at one with myself. No need to distract myself from myself. Not feeling that need. Not being engaged in the mental activity so much. It's a sense of freedom, which I wouldn't get unless things are the way they are again. So this is the seeing, that you are what you are, or whatever. And it's not that we are anything, it's just the seeing. It's crazy. Like I said, it blows our mind. Everyone's had their own traumas in this experiential realm. I call them realms rather than questioning the reality of anything. It's a realm of phenomenality, physicality, material, whatever, matter. It's density of energy. Again, it's a play. Thermodynamics. You got outer space, absolute zero, and then you have heat. And what causes rain, wind. Is hot and cold by nature. Seek equity. And if it weren't for the sun apparently rising and setting, there would be no change in temperature, let's say, no activity, no motion. Again, so emotion, it's crazy. It's crazy, all this shit. And the spiral of the form of spiral. What was I thinking the other day? If you had a yo-yo, that's low to the ground. Well, the more you spin it, and it starts to raise up to where, like a guy, it forms a sphere. But crazy too, being in the flow of spirit. It's crazy. It's like being in the audience. It's totally fucking insane. Again, blows my mind. So I can empathize with everyone in regard, to that. My heart goes out. I know it took all in me to reach out to all in you, to you all, you know,
Mm.
and although I'm sure you're well aware, like it says that telepathy, you know, but again, with finally being more habituated or mature in not, you know, chasing after those thoughts we might have about one another, like say, getting no response. Well, you know, the mind can take that anywhere in the fucking world, you know. Well,
Yeah.
he did it, you know, pointing a finger,
Yeah.
and it's totally obvious. There is no pointing, you know.
Yeah.
There's no finger to point, no one to point the finger. You know, the four pointing back, the idea, but that too is part of the game. And this is like before, you like Candyland, you know, we happen to make, you get to make one of those jumps up, but you know, usually you get set back and got to go through all that stuff. All these games and memories,
Yeah.
they
Go to
flow as they may. They're in that river of, you know,
yeah.
of
Yeah.
memory.
Go to jail. Do not
Sure.
pass go. do not collect $200. But yeah, what you're saying too, like and this is like in reflection. Why? Why this vortex that we seemingly are coming out of, or awareness or experience of this judgment and the shame and the, you know, all that stuff. It's almost like because both are contagious. Like that's how it operates, right? So it's almost
Well,
like
who's asking why? That's all you got to do. Who's asking why? Forget why. Sorry to interrupt,
no, I'm with you.
but you know me.
Yeah, who's asking why? But it's
All
it's
right,
almost like
if we go back to that self-inquiry, that's self-inquiry. Sorry,
no, I'm good.
go ahead.
I get you. No, yeah, what I'm saying is like it's almost like yeah, taking you to a place where, because that other place, it's like a mental masturbation that becomes a circle jerk. You know, like you got to have others in this basket or this bowl or this, you know, this well or this cave or something. Or but over here, you know what I mean? It's like over here, like there's this space. We talked about the space, right? That space, this space, and this space. There's a space materializing, and yeah, who's asking? But yet we're all in this space that's
Space of
with
being.
given all this, yeah, given all these complexity and all these vast range in the spectrum, it's something pretty fucking cool going on, and I don't know what it is. But like I told him this past, because I say, you know, I'm talking to myself and I'm saying, you know, I don't know about this. No, you know, I'm worn out. You know, into February, I'm tired, and Sology's been stagnant and never happened before in 12 years. You know, just two straight months, and then you have all that running, the guilt, and then
Take me, please.
yeah, and then I heard very explicitly, "Are you ready to go?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounded serious." And I just took like 3 seconds and said, "Hell no, I ain't come this far for nothing."
Who was ever unready?
Right? You know what I mean?
To begin with, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? There's no,
Yeah.
you know, there's just the seeing. The seeing, then there's no going down. What road is there to go down? There's no one to go down any road. Just in the seeing. Forget it. There's nothing else. It's great. It's insane. The feeling of rest, the rest note.
Hmm. The pause.
The Zen master I was befriended with for 9 years. That's what he would always bring it back to.
What's
I
that?
even forgot what I said. He always
The
brought
rest.
it back to that.
The rest.
The rest note.
The
And I
rest.
never understood what he was talking about. You know, it took all these years with Soulology and everyone, you know, that
I
is,
think
you know, on. Go
I think
ahead.
what you're saying is, you know, I've had the honor of playing with Ty for a year and a half. You know, with the music thing, knowing and having no nothing. You know, he's got all that, you know, makeup. And so you sit in with these musicians. I remember the first few times scared shitless, you know, but there was something involved with it that was expanding me in a way I couldn't even, you know what I mean? But they talk about the pause. So they'll have these tempos and beats, and all of a sudden there's this, they call it a pocket or a pause or a rest. And in that moment, that void-esque moment, something gets birthed. You know what I mean? Like I remember doing it and they'd be like, you know, you came in at the right time. But it's not like some, okay, when you get to beat A, Todd does this. No, it's more like it's all improvisational and spontaneous. And I always look at these experiences with him and these other people as a you know, like a little example of how to fluidly operate, you know, how to be present and yet still be in conscious motion, but it's really not even conscious. And I wouldn't even say it's intuitive. It's like right in the middle. It's just this
Well,
thing.
just hearing that silence, notes come out of the silence in the background.
Yeah.
It's the silence between the notes that's always there. The notes appear,
Right.
you know, in silence, literally.
Exactly.
So that's the sound of silence.
Touche.
It's crazy. This is all insane. The activity in my mind. You know, how do I contain this shit? If it's not shared, forget about it. You know, what the wonder that you all are giving me is beyond measure. You know, that idea of measure, that's, you know, the realm of relativity, you know, duality, opposites, you know, subject, object, et cetera, you know. And you know me, the ing, verbing.
Yeah.
You know, stay there. Just add ing. That's all.
That's right.
You know, and then rather than adding suffering, the mental activity, thoughts and feelings to what is, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I said until, you know,
that's a big one. That's a really big one. If you look at any way to try to you know, create a synopsis of what have we been through. if there's any, what you just said, it's like
hell and back.
The cessation, like the cessation or the diminishment or the fading out of that, what you're talking about. Like that, you know, what a killer. What a killer.
The veil of
how many,
activity.
how many, as we call them, the physical experiences, how many ailments, afflictions, et cetera, came from that? Probably all of
Identification. And, you know, when we identify as a person, everything happens to me. And we're the victim. That's the victim mentality game.
Yeah. I feel like that what we're stepping into or what's occurring for us can be like the experience of a life review, but in life. So in other words, every day I wake up and I experience life and I have a greater conscious empathic experience with all those things outside of me, people that are me. Right. So it's almost like, because when you have like this life review, you know, people talk about these near-death experiences. I was given this, you know, ability to go through my life and feel everything that I put out, instantaneous, in the moment. Right. So it's like we're getting this telepathy thing, and we think of telepathy like this, right? But I don't think that's what it is. I think it's all of this. You know, it's all of this. Beyond chakras too. I'm talking cellular, atomic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no doer to doing. There's only doing. You know, once the doer is the personhood, in the hood of being masked as a person, is what the doer, you know, the subject. again, then you create the opposites, subject, object, opposing forces, It's
Yeah.
crazy. Even the sense of I consciousness to me, again, is, whatever, what, if there's anything, it's an object of perception. If I try to identify myself as a thing, I, noun, whatever, a thing, then it's an object of perception as a person. But that too, again, is fine, because, it may not be, I am what I am, regardless of what may appear to be. But that it's only in that play, like wow, children, here you are, you're outside playing, whatever, throwing hoop alone. But then, you knock on the door, and then all of a sudden you got, 6, 8, 10 guys playing a game of softball, and whatever happens in that interplay is well beyond, what might happen as a sense of individual,
Yeah.
So yeah, again, when two or more are gathered in my name being, that to me, whatever that our sense of spirit or life is, and it's all life, it's light force. I think in the realm of physicality, plasma, again, it's density, energy itself. I mean, God knows, not that it takes on it appears to take on a form, as a human being, but energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So, the personage comes and goes, life and death, and that's where the unborn idea, I think, comes from. What were we before we were born or after we die? That sense of spirit has no locality. It's omnipresent. But that, I that's beyond this linear sequential mental ability to cognize anything as being, the appearance of a thing. So again, it's just seeing, say the seeing of of everything as an appearance. Everything comes and goes, even our life.
Yeah.
So, what's beyond all this? There is no more who's asking. But that's a whole nother, that's the game of the absolute, whatever the hell that is, I mean, it's all of what is and what is not, So, wow.
So even like the thing about what is that? What am I seeing? Or what is that? Well, it depends on who you ask. How many right? How many eyes does God have? Like,
there you go.
How do you know? I call this blue. How do you know your blue is? How do I, even if I call it blue and you agree, how do I know you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing?
Like the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. If you have 10 people close their eyes and touch an elephant, they're all going to swear, it's something different.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember as a kid, where you get blindfolded to reach into a bag and try to tell what it is that's in there. And that first sense of touch,
Yeah.
it's already in the bag, The humor of it, the way the spirit channels through me, that's why I've got a sense of laugh. And I remember going on some retreats in recovery, and there was a picture of Jesus' face on the wall, and it said, "Life is Jesus forgetting to laugh for a second." Guess he had to take an inhale. You get your 2,000 years, I got inhale.
Yeah. I love that
Feeding the
meme.
black hole.
I love that meme where he's like coming around the corner and he says, "I see you. I see what you're doing," with a big grin on his face.
And yeah, the perspective of Mary Magdalene, Sophia, Leela, play was the original Eve of Eden was named play.
Play.
Well, what's his name? What's his name you were referring to? Yeah, he had all that.
Joseph Campbell.
It's that's fun. that's where the Vishnu and,
Yeah.
Shakti and Shiva and all that,
Yeah.
Shanti. But I've been able to become so familiar with all those out there, like say in the Hindu, their lineages, and it all goes back 2,500 years in recorded history, let alone, unrecorded. And to get back to the origin or the nature of things through, and I can see it's been through the evolution of mankind, so to speak, that brings
Yeah.
us to this point in time and space,
Yeah.
as we see it. Geez, Todd, feeling apart from you as a person, and of course, like you and Morgan, I've wanted, to connect like this, but that has been to my benefit that it's fallen through at the times it has, because again, it gave me the opportunity of seeing, well, that's a thought, and there's no more added on to it. It allowed me to develop that ability, so to speak. So again, what beneficial to all? Beneficial is some kind of religious term.
Yeah.
Woo-wee, man.
No, I
I
get
don't
that.
know.
I totally get that. Like in the last 2 months, as inquiries would come in, what the hell are you doing? Or what's and I realized, like, I didn't put it in those words, but I realized, yeah, you're right. This is just a thought. That energy that came to me didn't provide. I had to make that choice, and so it became acceptable. It became okay. The shame, the blame, everything, the guilt, everything gone. I gotta be here, with me. I gotta be there. What is this? Back to where we started, right? And I love this what you said about the different iterations, and going back to Joseph Campbell. Like, okay, so when Morgan and I reconnected, one of the things that came to us real quick was like, look at the code behind you, look at the code present, and look at the code in front of you. Look at the patterns. It's all the same thing. They're all echoes. So, Horus, Osiris, Isis becomes Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. Zoroastrianism has their own. They all have their. It's all the same thing. Well, if you look at the mythology, the stories, it's all the same dramas. It's all the same. You know what I mean? It's all the same
Yeah.
experience. Just playing over and over, being remixed. I don't know, but there does seem to be a lightening up with people, and I
Yeah,
think,
Paul Hederman calls it just traveling lighter, or traveling, just traveling lighter. I mean, who could ask for anything more?
exactly.
If you boil it down. But excuse me again for cutting you off.
No, you're exactly right. It's that would be the way to say it. There's a lightness of being occurring, and it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be, there doesn't have to be a discourse on it. Even it's just there's something happening that we just know. That's how I would put it too.
I reached out to you around Christmas. Took some time. I needed whatever time away to realize. But anyway, I reached out to you at Christmas, and say no response, or our responses weren't setting in. But what had followed immediately after Christmas, or the day before New Year, whatever, New Year's Eve it might have been, then it was either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day Eve that Morgan came on. You had that interplay with Morgan,
Oh yeah,
which was a direct response to the spirit that was reaching out, but the person, wasn't in playing that game. And then again, there was a silence for 2 weeks or 10 days, 11 days, whatever it was, and then you and Morgan popped up again. Morgan was, there was like this, I called it a, how's your stay in presence? You know, you're in a stay in presencing. Cause that's how I felt she had worded it, you know, that sense of being present. So, you know, how's your stay there? So, and then there was another, you know, periods of silence, and, you know, you've said yourself, you know, you're like, you don't want to have another seizure, you know, and hey, I didn't know if I was going to live through this, have a heart attack, who knows? But here we are, you know, as again, you know, to me, it's just a dreaming. It's awake dreaming.
Yeah.
Either way, because what I am, it goes beyond the dreaming, the dreaming of this life. This is just temporal.
Yeah.
So even existential is just, it's all meaningless, you know. It's not a game of relativity, like you said, the quantum spiriting of it all.
Well, no matter how you slice it or dice it, it's all the same. I did that. I wrote that song the other day. What the hell was it? It's a trust. It's all the same damn thing, you know. Like it. No matter how you slice it, it's all the same thing at the end. But play. That's it. Play.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And from the play, it becomes, and that's what you're talking about, the lightness, or what that guy said. Because from the play comes the remix, the rebirth, the next play, right? The next phase, which is really just one continuous, if you look at it that way, one continuous life, whether you're in this car or that car, this body or that body.
Well, when Judy was on the other day, you know, being, you know, in this flow, whatever this is, of spirit, outside the mental. So then, you know, okay, oh, Jude, you know, -E, and then the biblical Jude, and then the Beatles, which goes back a time before many might recall. And then my first 45 record was Hey Jude on one side and Number 9 on the other side. So then Number 9 came in, which, you know, the form of completion.
Right.
But, you know, you'd have to have, you know, be familiar with that particular 45 record, you know. But, you know, it's funny as hell to me that this flow of memory, so to speak, game, play, that's where the sense of dreaming.
You just brought that to me right now, because I think we're relatively the same age. I'm 62, and but I remember very, very clearly. Okay, so if I'm going to listen to music now, which I do a lot, it's you know what I mean. I'm pushing a button. I'm searching. I'm you know. But back then, it was a fucking ritual, bro. Like you would get the 45 and you would look at it, the A side, the B side. You'd smell it like a book. If it was an album, you'd open up and look at every piece of it. You gently place it on the portable record player, because that's probably what most of us had if you were there. You know what I mean? It was like this visceral experience. It was just this, and you just made me realize that. Like,
I
almost.
Think then my next.
Go ahead.
The next one I think was Black Sabbath, Behind White Curtain or Behind the Black Curtains. I forget the title. Might have been on 8-track.
That's strange. That's strange because my first ones were well, the 45s. I can't even. My brother got most of them, but yeah. But I think my first ones were weird. Was the Jackson 5 and Led Zeppelin, or the Best of Cream, or something like that. It was like one end of the spectrum to the other. I don't know, but yeah, just thinking
like
back to that,
like a panorama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what the late 60s was like, though. 65, 66, 67. Man, it was like an explosion.
Video, video, color video.
And just reflecting on it, though, now I'm just realizing an element that's missing from my experience not to make this one worse or that one better, but there's just new faces of the energy and therefore the experience. And
Well, what's very important to me right now is, as many may put it, the elemental, the realm of the elementals. You know, elemental, say plasma in a form of atomics, and then molecular, and then, you know, the form of us as a being. And we're food, but like food bodies, you know, we consume that from others, and it becomes part of our being. Crazy fucking shit going down. Try dealing with this shit with no one that, you know, to talk with, you know, about it, you know. But that's where you guys come in for me. You know I would no longer be here. You know, I'm so atrophied socially and physically. You know, if I do something for 10 minutes, I can't move for 2 days. You know, that's how, you know. And I know a lot of people might suffer and die, and who knows what conditions they may inherit, which could become a troubling thought for the sense of me as a person. Again, it's hard. My heart goes out to everyone, because you and I both know, as we all do, how hard it seems at times, you know, to maintain sanity. But, you know, when breaking through that, you know, that getting into that realm of insanity, so to speak, you know, just not knowing, etc. You know, spontaneity, I think you often refer to it as.
Yeah, that's my way of saying I prefer to create my way out than to swim in the, you know, but the reality is you have to jump into that dark pool of insanity to create your way out. So you can't say I'm going to make an end around here. But yeah, that insanity is like the fodder of our alchemy. You know, it's again, touche, man, because you know, we've all been there. You get to this point, like, man, I know this now. Wow, I got this, you know, and then, like you said, it metaphorically, you know, you literally. But I mean, I could do something for 2 hours. The next thing you know, I'm on my ass for 2 days. You know, I mean, I
remember that.
Huh? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You could. I'm remembering that Robin Williams movie. Oh God, where he went down. That poem was written on fire. I forget who that was.
Oh, you're talking
but he went
about
down
somewhere. Yeah, he died. He went with Cuba Gooding Jr. to his wife.
Yeah, going down the 7 rounds to hell because his wife was, you know, dying in shame. You know, suicide.
Right.
And he was. No one had been able to retrieve someone from hell, but he was going to hell whether he would come back or not to be with his loved one.
Right.
And in the end, they all ended up wherever we might be in that, you know, in that imaginary world of reality together, you know, as one family unit.
Yeah. There we go again. You know, how can you detach from that which you're always connected to? Come together once, how can you come together once when you started out one? You know, it's
hide and go seek.
Yeah,
you know, with the kid, you put something in your hand, you know, you put it behind your back. So
which hand? And then
they don't see nothing.
Yeah, which hand? And how do you know the other one's not cheating? Well, what difference does it make? The outcome is going to be what it is, and you're going to, right? Yeah, somebody said
the innocence of a child, you know, that not knowing.
Yeah.
You know, what a world of an openness, you know, for whatever may come, appear to come.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then things like innocence and naivete or naivete doesn't become a bad connotation. You know what I mean? Like that's a bad thing, right? Like, no.
Well, that's where I think the transparency comes in so the maturation to where being as a parent, being aside others along the way, not as being above or beyond or below, you know,
Right.
and there's nothing to say other than, you know, we're here, I'm here, or we're here, you know, all is well. Not to say that maybe, but just to be there as a parent, you know, what that really might mean as a human being. You know, it's all been passed on to me unconditionally, no
Yeah.
matter where I was. They had all been through it before themselves, which
Yeah.
enabled them to love me just the way I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. How would I have learned that if it weren't for the sense of others having already gone through it all themselves? Like, how could we love anyone else feeling rejected as a person or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, but as a
That's deep
parent,
water.
so yeah, transparent thing.
Oh,
You know, like just seeing others where they're at rather than where they should be.
Right. Because in essence, the interference that we experience is originated by the interference that we take on, or that we represent, or that, because here's a piece of our movie over here. And so not only have we got to a point where we were like, okay, we're going to erase it, I'm going to believe this is who I am or what I am, but now I believe, I forget that that's me too. And so I go over there and interfere with myself, which this is like
We can be the screen for their light.
Yeah.
The blank screen for their light to reflect back to themselves.
Yeah. Let them bounce to their own rhythms. God, this is
yeah. Just be the screen. You know, that screen of consciousness. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and
we should do this. We should do this again in a few days. Are you up for that? Somebody said you should be on each week.
I've been up to it all the time, but obviously we haven't.
I haven't.
It hasn't seemed to connect. No, don't take it.
No,
on
no,
yourself.
I'm
like
not. I'm not taking it. No. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
True. Yeah. No. I'm just saying. No. Believe me. I mean, I woke up 2 days ago thinking option A, B, or C, and C was just shut the whole damn thing down and go dig a hole and bury yourself in it. Go jump in the river of life, the unknown, and on the bayou, and just see what happens.
Yeah, there's no need to make anything of it.
No.
You know what what I should be doing. No, being present is just, you know, here I am. You know, what else is there?
It's enough to walk. It's enough to be awake. I mean, physically awake, like walking around, and being in a state where there isn't this constant barrage of all that stuff that you were talking about. You know, they might pop in a little bit, you know, here and there.
Yeah.
It's weird because I think you can relate. My world is smaller, much smaller now, but it feels like it's almost like the breath is coming out now, and maybe this is all of us coming out now. I don't know.
Well, once all the rocks are out of the backpack, climbing's a lot easier. You travel lighter again. You know, there's, you know, however you want to define it, as you said, you know, it seems to pop up less and less. I'd say even occasionally, rather than what it was all the time. You know, and more and. Wow, this is totally fucking now. So, having said all we've said, as you were saying, it might be of interest. You know, there's no more interest in the person. You know, our interest can, you know, go elsewhere. Of, you know, where might we be 2 weeks from now or a month from now if we get together? Kind of idea, or question. You know, there's nothing wrong with developing other interests.
Yeah.
Other self-interests. Rather than, like you say, you know, interested in going down those rabbit holes. But I think, to me, again, it's a form of habit, indoctrination, etc. conditioning.
True. Patterns. Yeah.
But
We were
just
we
the
were talking.
seeing of it, and like you say, it seems to pop up less and less. I think
Yeah.
it almost disappears just as from the seeing of it, for
Yeah,
what it is.
we were talking about that last night. Like, you see these things come back over and over and over again, and you neutralize this program. Yet this other thing keeps happening. And I think, again, we have to give ourselves some credit with our maturation. We have to get some credit with our evolution. Yeah, we cleared that fucking program, but there are habits and patterns, that are still in play, and that's okay too. We just come in, you experience it a couple more times, and you go, oh, okay, that's what that is, and you keep on moving. But again,
It's hard. I don't know if it can consciously be grasped. The things that I speak about, I'll see, stepping back beyond the person and the subject object connotation, to applying that to all things, and seeing that the subject and object come after the verbing, then it's not like it's almost as if you can't be conscious from there. There's just like being present, whatever that is by definition. I don't know that there is a way to divine a pre-sensing.
Hard to. Yeah,
of
it's like
something.
it's like instinct. It's just like, I don't know. What'd you say?
Yeah.
Well-being, though. But yeah, it's like what I observe out here in the back. Everything is just everything. It's just that. It's just, how do I know I'm supposed to go walk this way, take 12 steps, turn right? I don't. But you know what I mean? It's just, and that's the way everything looks to me. And then you have all these things happen. I had these 3 white birds. I'm very familiar with this area, right? Obviously, I've been here.
Yeah.
But I had these 3 birds. I was in this moment, and I had this thought, and I see a red-tailed hawk go flying by, just coming by, which is kind of been with me a lot over the last few years. And as it's coming across, comes back around, these 3 white birds that look like synchronized swimmers, man. They were just like doing it, and I'm thinking that can't even be real. It was so profound, yet simple. But I'm learning to accept these things now. That's the language I speak, or that I want to speak, or that makes sense to me, I guess. I don't know. And
well, regardless of what you and Morgan as a couple go through, I remember about 4 years ago, and that's the time for the shame and blame, etc. But anyway, when I'd step out, and then there were always this pair of doves on the telephone line in front of my place, and I would communicate with them as a couple. And as I was communicating with them one day, knowing them for a couple of years, all of a sudden, I didn't even see the hawk come, because this is the place I live. It's Hawk Mountain. Just scaffed up one of them.
Shit. And
I didn't see it. I didn't see the hawk, but I witnessed the event. And then my heart was crushed, thinking of, so he was alone. And for a couple of years, which had been a couple of years ago with us, would come alone. And then just in the last 2 years, perhaps, it's back to being a couple. But yeah, it opens up my heart, but there's no need to connotate any wrong, life and death kind of, whatever my sense or fear of death might be as a person, obviously, that's where it ends up. But that feeling in the heart was, there was no separation with the dove.
Yeah.
You have the same kind of experiences I gather with nature, and what it gives to us, that sense of instinct, let's say, there's nothing else you're thinking about, you're just in communication with.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And then the thoughts that occur while communicating, that's a whole nother realm. When the mind is free, so to speak, to go its own way, that's the innocence, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's something going on in my head, which there often is, we got to deal with reality, whatever bank shop and you name it, and walking down the road, hey, yeah, I get caught in my head, and then, there's a seeing of it. And then, as long as my head's up, and I always got to acknowledge the sun, whether it's night or not, and it's the first image that would come to mind. I step out, and go for a walk. I've always got to look toward the sun, because that's all everything is. And to feel that connection, as, Jesus might say, one with the Father, so to speak. Well, not forget the sexual, innuendos.
Yeah.
The oneness and the spirit of relationship, the Holy Spirit, So again, my heart goes out to you and Morgan. I think we've all matured to the point where we're willing to accept whatever may come our way, because the feeling of, as a mission here on Earth, we're here to parent all beings that may come our way, as everyone else has done for us.
Yeah. Transparent.
Just a way of saying thanks. Yeah.
Transparent. Yeah, thank you, man.
It's easier to say in texts than it is like transparency. One word, but when you break it up into syllables and you see, no, it's a sentence. It's saying something. The spirit is saying something. But that's way beyond, like I said, I've been there, the psychic shit, and I don't feel a need to entertain any mental activity anymore. So it's very difficult listening to anyone talking spiritually. There's what they call satsang, where people are just gathered together. They just gather together like a round table, where there's no one at the center, let's say, so to speak.
Exactly.
Like you and I gathering. This is like having satsang, or having whatever one calls it, communion with one another. Through spirit, through the spirit of being. Wow.
I'm in, man. I'm in, bro. Yeah. I'm
all
totally
the way.
Yeah. I gotta go check on my mom. She's not doing so well.
Yeah, thank you. And good luck. Good luck. You had that opportunity. I'm I still haven't communicated with my daughters.
I got that going on too, man. Don't think I don't. I got 6, and
you got it all.
Yeah, I got some of that. Some we we're connected, and some we're not. And again, what do you do?
Well, even to have that experience with your mother, and to experience that oneness of spirit, whatever, that open heart to heart. That's who has that as a consequence of everything having been the way it was.
Yeah.
So beyond this, what apparently seems to be, to what is, All right. Hey, again, my heart goes out. Thank you so much to everyone out there. Listen, I'm usually the one in the live chat commenting, and Todd is he's very inclusive. He includes what everyone shares in the chat and acknowledges. Okay, so it's all a part, but there is a certain anonymity. You can't, start attributing things to anyone in particular. But Todd is gifted with that ability to multitask, you might call it. I wouldn't, as we're sharing now, I wouldn't have wanted to be, watch my own live chat as, a guest. Although I see that that's what all the other guests do, as well as you do. Yeah. In that inclusiveness, they're entertaining. We're all sitting around the table together as one.
The round table.
As one in spirit, and that's Merlin. Yeah. It's Avatar. Play the Avatar. grab the sword, and the sword, the only way to lift the sword out of a rock is very gently. As soon as you put force, you know, you can't, like, it's at an angle, you know, but only if you pull it real gently, it'll come right out. That sort of awareness. Anyway, sorry.
The last place, no, you're good. The last place you look, the last thing you try. After you've gone full circle. Yeah. All right, brother.
Yeah.
I love you.
So that was the game. Round the bases. Thanks, Pod. I love you.